Hi, this is Joe Williams, and I am glad that you are joining us for our 2026 Scioto County Volunteer Training. If you're watching this video, that means you were not able to attend our in-person training or our virtual training. What we will need you to do is watch through the whole video, and then at the end of the video, you will also then need to send us an email and tell us three things that you learned by watching the video. And then you will also need to follow the instructions that were emailed to you to complete the working with minors child protection training. That training is a separate course. So it will be 2 steps for completing your volunteer training this year. We do need those things to all be done by May, um, the end of May, before June 1st. So if not, then you won't keep your status as a volunteer for 2026. So with that, we're going to get started with some updates. Our other 4-H educator, Natalie Bryant, is not able to be on this training with us this evening. Natalie was at the other trainings. She's prepping for some meetings right now as I'm doing this recording. So we will introduce her here. I'll show you a photo, and hopefully you all will get a chance to meet Natalie here in the coming weeks. So what we're doing, this is just what we did at our, I'm using the same PowerPoint, so you're getting the same information that all of our volunteers got at the conference back in March. So we will go over some of these things, although you guys will not be getting the special speaker that we had. You're going to get a session from me instead. So Natalie Bryant is our new 4-H educator. Natalie started in January. She was a Brown County 4-H'er, and then she was an ag science teacher for 7 years, I believe, maybe a little more than 7 years. So she's very familiar with livestock and with the fair and all of those types of things. Natalie will primarily be handling all of our livestock and horse projects here in the county. She does also help out with some school programs and volunteer trainings. So we are really excited to have Natalie with us here. She's been doing a great job, and I know you guys are all going to love her. She has really been doing well and has really been trying to get engaged with our people and our volunteers and our kids. So she's already done quality assurance. She has been working on skillathons. She's worked with some of her colleagues in neighboring counties to put on some clinics. So she hit the ground running. So we're really excited to have Natalie here with us. So what we wanted to do before we get into all of our training is just give you guys kind of a wrap up of 2025. So in 2025, Scioto County 4-H had 55 clubs with 887 youth members enrolled in those clubs. We had about 212 volunteers. And then we also had more than 3,500 county youth impacted by school-based programs that we did here in the county. And in 2025, we had 28 junior fair board and team leader members. So some of our successes in 25 were STEM programs that we offered in the schools and at the fair. Our STEM program assistant, Rachel Sloan, continues to offer those programs through spin clubs, through school programs, at the fair, at different community programs. So if you are looking for some programs at a community event or in a school setting, please reach out. Rachel is great at doing some of those fun hands-on activities with kids. We also had spin clubs in 2025. We had a sewing spin club, we had a cooking spin club, and then we had some spin clubs through the schools. And those have been continuing into 2026. We're well on our way. We've already completed a an embellish spin club and a cooking spin club and a school-based spin club. So those spin clubs are special interest clubs that are a short-term way for kids to be involved in a project or learn more about a subject matter. And so we are looking to continue this year by adding a few more. We do have a Ready Let's Sew Ready Let's Sew spin club that will be starting in June. If you have anyone interested in that, please contact the office. It will be conducted by one of our volunteers who sews with a bunch of helpers to help teach our kids how to sew. And then the kids can actually take those sewing projects on and go through judging with those. We also were very proud of our ag and animal experiences at the fair in 2025. Our ag experience at the fair grew. We added some elements to it. I think families and kids really, really enjoy that addition to our 4-H building. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to see it this year. Another thing that we're proud of in 2025 is Carolyn Garrett, who has been a longtime 4-H member in 4-H volunteer in Scioto County. Carolyn was recognized for meritorious service at the Ohio 4-H conference in March. And so we nominated Carolyn for that award because of all the great things she does for our 4-H program. And out of all the nominees across the state, Carolyn was one of the ones selected to be recognized. So we are really, really appreciative of all she does. And we're thankful that the state 4-H program recognized all the hard work she's put in. Additionally, we had 2 volunteers recognized for 40 years of service in 2025. Those were Sandy Mann and Kim Wicker. So we were really happy to recognize them at our volunteer conference. We just want to say thanks to them. Another thing that we recognized at our conference, we did a Friend of 4-H award, and we recognized Southern Ohio Medical Center for all the great things they do for our 4-H program. They do so many things that people probably don't realize. They really, really help keep us going with supplies and with donations. They help fund our buyer's dinner every year. They help fund our a lot of our different awards and our carcass contest. They really are instrumental in really helping our program stay strong. So we recognized SOMC as a Friend of 4-H, and we also recognized Ted Stidham, who is one of our 4-H volunteers who works for SOMC. And for as long as I've been around, Ted has kind of served as that bridge between the 4-H program and the hospital. And he's been instrumental in keeping that relationship going. And so he was also recognized. So looking ahead to 2026, we're excited to be well into this project year. So if you're just now watching this, your clubs should be up and going and moving and doing all the things. Enrollments were already submitted. So some of this stuff in this PowerPoint, I may skim right over because it may not even be pertinent at this point. But how we will reach you. Things you need to remember is you need to check your emails, because if we are sending information out, we send it through the 4-H online system. So please check your emails and look for any messages to be coming from us. Emily has been doing a great job getting information out to folks. She also is creating a listserv. So if you'd like for us to add you to that listserv, it'll be the same information we're sending in 4-H online, but in case you're afraid you're not getting messages through the 4-H online system, that maybe your email is screening those out. Or I know people who worked at the hospital for a while, our 4-H online messages the hospital server would recognize those as spam and put them in their junk mailbox. So if you'd like to be on our listserv and get those directly from Emily's email rather than through the 4-H online system, please contact the office and have Emily add your email address to the listserv. Another way that we get information out is to put things on our county website. Our calendar is there with all the dates and deadlines, so be sure that you're looking at that and sharing it with all of your 4-H families. And then we do continue to post things on Facebook. So if you have a Facebook, please follow our County 4-H page and check it periodically. So hopefully it'll then start popping into your news feed as we post things on that page. And so all of these things are the ways that we are trying to communicate. We're trying to make sure that we're reaching folks through different avenues and trying to meet you where you are. We know some people don't have social media, so that's why we're still posting or sending out emails. We know not everybody checks their email, so we post things on social media. If you're one of those people that doesn't do either email or social media, then you're going to have to take it upon yourself to go to our website and look for those dates and deadlines, or you're always welcome to call our office and ask questions. So, livestock update and reminders. During their volunteer training, Natalie actually went through these things. So one thing that's new this year is turkeys will be weighed at the fair to be put in classes. Rules will be given to exhibitors at pickup, which already happened. So those turkey rules are up to date. Those should be on our website. In-person tagging for sheep and goats was held May 3rd, and our market and breeding swine was an online with pictures being uploaded into the an online Qualtrics system. Those were also due that day. So you would see that those are listed there. State Fair livestock youth must be enrolled in the project to exhibit at the Ohio State Fair. So if a child is not enrolled in market beef, they cannot exhibit market beef at the state fair. I think sometimes people forget that. They think that they can still exhibit it at the state fair in the junior show, even if they're not enrolled in the county. And so they do have to be enrolled in the project in order to exhibit at the junior show. They can do all the open shows they want, but in the junior show, they do have to be enrolled. Carcass contest will again be held after the fair. And so kids needed to be enrolled in the carcass activity to be eligible for that. And then also they needed to be enrolled in their specie market project. That little screen there has different dates and deadlines of when animals need to be registered. So most of those dates and deadlines have passed, except for beef breeding, which is June 15th, dairy cattle are July 1st, and rabbit tattooing is July 11th. So some club updates. New policy from the Senior Fair Board is that this year, 2 volunteer passes will be given per club for our volunteers. All other volunteers in the club must buy a weekly pass. The passes will all be distributed, all passes, youth and volunteers will be distributed by the Senior Fair Board on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before the fair begins. And they gave us a letter to pass out to folks that night that had their office hours. If you need a copy of that, just call the office here. But their office hours will be held Friday, Saturday, and Sunday prior to the fair. So all youth exhibitors and volunteers, 2 volunteers per club will be eligible for passes. Those passes will need to be picked up at the Senior Fair Board office, which is kind of on the side of the brick building where our office is. Club Clubs must notify us which volunteers will receive these 2 complimentary passes by May 15th, so we can pass that information along to the Senior Fair Board. So we should be in the process right now of collecting those names of the 2 volunteers per club that will be getting the passes. All the rest of the club volunteers will then need to buy a weekly pass for the fair. And those passes may also be purchased in the Senior Fair office. Club updates. So this year, Ohio State is requiring all of our counties to cover 4-H club insurance for all members and volunteers. So in the past, your clubs may have purchased insurance for $1 per member. Now Ohio State is requiring that we buy that insurance. So that will be covered by the 4-H program. So you no longer have to pay for that. If you bought that insurance before, your club does not have to do so this year, because we will have to cover the cost of that. Also, club verification forms. This has already passed, but those forms were sent out after enrollments. And then they needed to be mailed back to us by May 1. And we needed to be contacted with any changes, additions, or corrections by that May 1 deadline. Kids can still enroll in 4-H at any time. However, they cannot exhibit. They had to meet that May 1 deadline for any of those additions, changes, or corrections to be added or made to their enrollments in order to exhibit for this year. Also, those club verification forms will be used to determine what members are in good standing. So those members will be the ones who receive fair passes. You send that form back to us, indicating that everything is correct, all the projects are correct. That was supposed to be back to us by May 1, and then we will send that back out to you this summer, and it will need to be sent back to us in July with you indicating which members have completed all of their project requirements. So you have checked and made sure they're completing their project, they've attended the right meetings, if you have dues, they've paid their club dues, all the things that have them as a member in good standing. You will then indicate on that form which kids have completed all the requirements, and then those youth will receive passes to exhibit at the fair. And that is, kids receive their fair passes for exhibition purposes. If a kid decides they're not going to exhibit anything at the fair, they took a photography project and they're not putting it in the booth, then they don't get a pass. Fair passes are for our 4-H members who are exhibiting at the fair, the county fair. So as long as they've got an exhibit on the grounds, then that's how they get their pass. So we have good news and bad news about project books. Project book prices increased from $8 to $12 this year. Some of the resource books and some of the other books that have always been a little heftier books are a little more expensive. So those prices may have increased as well. So those price increases, though, on the regular project books went from $8 to $12. So that's the bad news. The good news is we have a book sponsor who has contacted us and wanted to sponsor 1 book per member. And that is Adena Health Systems. So what Emily has done is created a file. She has a spreadsheet that says your club and how many kids you have enrolled in your club. So if your club has 10 youth enrolled, then your club gets a credit for those 10 books. So that would be $120 credit. So if your club orders 10 books, then you come in and you pick them up and you take them and you don't have to pay for them. We will give all of this to Adena and they will then reimburse us for all of the books. if your club has 10 kids in it and you ordered 15 books, then you will only have to pay for 5 of those books because you're getting 10 free, 1 book per member free, and then anything additional you have to pay for. So one thing we wanted to remind all of our clubs, we've been getting lots of book orders and we're really excited about that because I think some of our folks have forgotten that part of taking a 4-H project is keeping good records and completing all the activities in those project books. But what we do want you to do, we would really appreciate it if our clubs did thank you notes to Adina. We're trying to put stickers on every book, saying that this book was donated by Adina Health Systems, and Emily has the address. So we would really appreciate if you could get a thank you card and have all the members in your club sign it and send it to Adina, because this has really been a really positive thing for our county, to have them sponsor these books. So just a few reminders, and some of these things, again, you're going to see on the list have already happened. So watching for club rosters, review and send back by May 1. Hopefully you did that. If your club has not submitted their financial forms, and their club informational forms, those need to be sent to us as well. We actually do our all of our clubs tax filing, and we need your financial form in order to be able to do that tax filing, and the tax filing is due May 15th. That is actually 4 days from now when I'm recording this. So if you have not sent that, we need those back immediately. Skillathon workshop will be held from 6 to 8 p.m. June 15th. Camp registrations are due. The dates are here on the screen for you to see, and my next slide is going to be about camp, so I will share those dates with you again. Our Skillathon will be held from 6 to 8 p.m. July 7th at the fairgrounds. Be sure to bring your books. Remind all of your 4-H members to bring their books. Tell them not to wait until the day of or the day before Skillathon to come buy a book, because as many books as we've been selling out of everything and then having to place orders, and it may take several days to a week to get those orders filled. So please be sure to get your books ordered soon. Also for Skillathon, remember that if any of your youth are interested in competing for outstanding exhibitor in their species, they do have to complete Skillathon to be in the running for outstanding exhibitor. Project judging will be on July 14th. Watch for pre-registration information. That'll probably come out the end of June. Our awards ceremony will then be held July 16th. This will all happen at the fairgrounds in the venue. So you can mark those dates on your calendar. So these are our camp dates for this year. So if you please encourage your kids to come to camp. Camp is probably one of the most meaningful parts of 4-H. It is where I see so much growth in our 4-H members, and I truly love watching kids come and develop into good human beings at camp. So please encourage your 4-H members to give camp a try. And so next, oops. We ended with just some questions. So right now I'm going to get out of this screen and stop sharing. And then I am going to come over and start my next share. So the one thing here, since I'm recording, I can't stop and ask if you guys have any questions. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact the office or send me an email. I'm extremely happy to help anybody with anything that you have questions about. Oops, sorry. But we do want to make sure that you all understand. So if you have questions, you can feel free to call the office and ask for me or talk to Natalie or Emily. And or you can send me an email. And my email address is williams.2213@osu.edu. And so now the state is also asking that we do some cloverbud training every year. We know that not all of you are cloverbud volunteers, and so not all of you are working with cloverbuds on a regular basis. But I still think it's a good idea to go through some of this information so you're aware of it. So this is a training that we did. We offered some lunch and learns, some of my colleagues here from the southern part of the state. And this is just a little cloverbud training that we did. Some of the stuff here also may have already passed. So I apologize if the deadline has already passed on some of these events that I'm going to have in this PowerPoint. But at least it can give you an idea of time, some of the things that are available for your clover buds, and you can be on the lookout for these things next year as well. So who are clover buds? Clover buds are our youngest 4-H members who are at least 5 years old and enrolled in kindergarten as of January 1. So they have to be 5 and in kindergarten to be a clover bud. Clover buds participate in non-competitive activities in their club meetings or countywide opportunities like our Clover Bud Fun Day or Clover Bud interviews at the fair. So Clover buds don't do anything competitive because developmentally those kids are better off doing activity-based learning instead of competitive learning. So what do you do with your clover buds? And so when we've done this in a Zoom format where you're logged in, we have you type that into the chat box. But what kind of things do you do? Be thinking about that. Some clubs do activities, games, field trips, crafts. There are all kinds of things that folks do with their clover buds out there in our county. So some new ideas for 2026, because this is the 250th birthday of our country. There was an opportunity for a clover bud engineering adventure. That I believe has already passed, but we do have the clover bud meeting menu that you could still use within your club and use a bunch of these activities that are patriotic type of activities that coincide with the 250th birthday of our country. So the Cloverbud Engineering Adventure that has passed, the sign up date for those, I believe, has passed. So, but this is kind of a description of what it is. Cloverbud members create a poster and model out of Lego type bricks. It's a challenge, and then they go on and they do presentations about that. And so there is more information about it. If you're interested, you can go to that website there, the https://go.osu.edu/cbc. So even though I think that has passed, this is an option for you to use with your clover buds that is not time sensitive. So our statewide clover bud team has developed a clover bud meeting menu, and it's a tool to help volunteers plan a year's worth of fun meetings. You can find a variety of activities, games, snacks, all of that created around a theme. And so this year's theme is that patriotic 250th birthday theme. So in that menu, you also get tools that you can use every year, like a sample meeting agenda, a Cloverbud hold on, my computer wanted to restart. Okay, a Cloverbud meeting planning template that you can use within your club, a welcome letter for Cloverbuds and their families, and then some Cloverbud activities. So some ideas to go along with the theme. You can then do roll call with your Cloverbuds as you're doing attendance and say, ask them when they answer, when you call their name, would they rather eat a hot dog or a hamburger? So instead of saying here, they would say hot dog or hamburger. Where would they rather visit in the United States? So you can go around the room and have them say their name and where they would like to visit. Or what color they like best, red, white, or blue. You can do a this or that America version of the game, this or that. You can do a guess who with easy pictures of American icons. For the main course, you can do some educational activities about American heroes or what life was like then versus now. So there are a lot of different fun ideas in these Cloverbud meeting menu resources. So what I've got there on the screen is an example of what is available on those a la carte resources versus the larger resources that are available. So recreation, refreshments, other resources, a lot of activities related to the flag, history, democracy in our country. So this is all available on the Ohio 4-H website under Cloverbud resources. You can find a lot of this information. So I just had during this training, folks share what ideas they might have for a theme or to support this theme. And so be thinking about that. What could you do with your Cloverbuds based on this information that I have shared today? Also, now that you've made it here to the end, my email address is on the screen right now. And there is also a QR code and a link to a quiz. So if you go do that quiz, that will give you credit for being on this training. At the beginning, I had said you could email me with 3 things you learned from the training. So you can also do that. If it's easier for you to just send me an email for 3 things that you've learned that are new or different that you've learned this year. It could be about the policy updates. It could be a new rule. It could be, that turkeys are going to be shown in classes and being weighed at the fair this year. If you've made it this far, if you just list 3 things that I covered in this training and email it to williams.2213@osu.edu, we'll give you credit for completing this. And remember, you need to have this done by the end of this month. You need to send that email to me, otherwise you will unfortunately get deleted out of our system. So with that, as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Email is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me because I am in and out of the office so frequently doing programs. Same with Natalie. She's out and about a lot. So email is the easiest way to get a hold of us because even when we're out, we still check our email periodically throughout the day. We may not respond immediately, but we'll get back to you, when we are able, maybe the next day or so, but we will respond to you. Or you can call the office and Emily can either try and answer your question or she can transfer you to one of us or take a message and get it to us. So with that, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and don't forget to send your email 3 things you learned to my email so you get credit for attending the training. And then you will still need to complete the child protection training and send us the verification that you've completed that as well. And the instructions for that are in your email with the link that you got with the link to this video. Thanks so much. We hope to have a great year this year.